things he's going to do while he's here in New York, since it's going to be 90 degrees today and nobody's complaining about it.
Gorgeous day in New York City.
Your top three today, quick.
Central Park.
Central Park.
Yep. That's it. I think I'm just going to spend the day in the park and relax.
Tap out at Central Park. I like it.
A lot to do in Central Park.
There are a lot
big park.
to do.
Do fishing.
It is
go to a
big
zoo.
Park.
Nice little hot dog.
You can do a little workout with me.
It is a big That was a nice bridge.
When Fox hires y'all's replacements.
It is
when Fox hires y'all's replacements.
If Fox hired my replacement, not knowing when I was going to retire, and made her follow me around all day and made her mentor me, not sure how I'd feel. Well, the Steelers did the same thing, right? They drafted Ben Roethlisberger's possible replacement in Mason Rudolph. He's going to follow Ben Roethlisberger around, and Big Ben will probably be expected to do some mentoring. Ben, however, is on a different page. He said this: well, that's fine, he can take over someday, but I plan on playing for 3 to 5 more years. Depending on how the line goes and staying healthy, if I can stay healthy. If he's going to be their guy, that's great, but in my perfect world, it's not going to be for a while. All right, let's start with you, Coach. What's Ben Roethlisberger's role in Mason Rudolph's development?
Well, first of all, I think this couldn't have worked out better for the Steelers. If drafting Mason Rudolph where they drafted him motivates Ben Roethlisberger to up his game and to stay for 3 to 5 more years, that's fantastic. Now, the question is, once he gets into camp and Ben takes a look at Mason and says, okay, this guy's not that big of a threat, or evaluates it and it's not quite what he expected, I think that could change dramatically. In terms of his responsibility for the development, I don't think anybody's responsible for anybody else's development. The player ultimately is responsible for his own development. The organization will help that. But what you would like is that Ben take a step back and think about his legacy and think, maybe I can help this guy take over when I eventually do leave.
What, ideally, as a coach, what does if you're the coach of the Steelers, what does Ben Roethlisberger's relationship with Mason Rudolph like?
You'd want it to be one that has a mentoring component to it, and you'd want Mason Rudolph to do a lot of things to help Ben prepare during the week. Oftentimes, those young quarterbacks can do some research either on the defensive backs or a component of the game plan that maybe the starter hasn't been able to spend as much time on, and then he brings some value into the quarterback room, into the meeting room, that's additional to what the coaches are giving him.
Yeah, to me, the story is Ben Roethlisberger and him changing from how long he's going to play. That's the biggest part of the story. I know this. The NFL is not a business that you can do year to year. Unless you are late, year 14, 15, 16, 17. If you're Drew Brees, if you're Tom Brady, you can go year to year. But when you're in your mid-30s, the way Ben was, and with the type of team and organization and support that he had around him, and the type of support, it is critical that the organization and your teammates know, man, I am totally bought into this. It's important for them to know that football is your #1 business. Besides your family, that playing football and playing it well, that's what your teammates and the organization need to know. Ben has sent us mixed signals for the last 2 off seasons. So for me, it was nice to see. That's the type of attitude that I want from all the players, let alone my franchise quarterback. Yes, I'm going to be playing, because if you project that I'm going to be playing, it lets the team know that I am going to be focused. It also, from Ben's standpoint, because what I would like to see is, I like to see Ben lose some weight. If you're going to continue to play, I believe that you should be at a weight that I believe is more conducive to you moving around a little bit as you get later in your career. Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady's super fit. Drew Brees is super fit. They would never have a weight problem. Eli Manning, he's super fit. Very seldom can you be a quarterback and continue to be at that weight that you were at a younger age.
Ben's I mean, you're listening to quarterbacks who are super fit. Like, when you talk about that aspect of it, Ben's the only quarterback I can think of that isn't. Like, can anyone else mind's eye think of a quarterback where it's
Eli's
like,
not super fit.
No, Eli is.
No.
You don't,
he might not be ripped.
No.
He might not be ripped, Jenna, but it doesn't look like he's got weight to lose. Go ahead, C. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I can't think of a quarterback out there that I would say could.
Right now, they might not look like the best athletes. Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, they might not. But up close and personal, you would be very impressed with Eli Manning if you reached out and touched him. Now, they're not. freaking Michael Vick. But, Nick, you are right. There is no one the size and of. Now, he has that that's the old style quarterback. That's the way we had a bunch of quarterbacks that were like that. 6'5", 240-ish, but we don't see as many anymore.
When you play against Big Ben and you watch your defensive backs blitz and they bounce off them and defensive linemen can't bring them out, bring him down, I'm okay with him not being super fit. If I'm the head coach, if he can maintain that presence in the pocket that he has, that strength that he has in the pocket, his ability to create plays, and we'd say over and over again.
Being fit, though, that just enhances that, Coach. That doesn't take that away.
Yeah.
Now, besides last season, what's question marks about Ben? Man, his durability.
No, and I'm never going to knock someone for trying to stay as fit as possible, especially as they get older. I just think that his size has always been a real advantage to him. What I love about this pick, though, is if it motivates him at this point in his career to do things that he wasn't willing to do and to take a step back and say, okay, this is my job, you're not going to take it. That, to me, is a great thing.
He's also in a good position in that his offensive line is all under contract. Juju Smith-Schuster, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. He's got all his weapons intact. All he's got to do is worry about coming in and playing football and not who he's going to throw to, who he's going to hand the ball to, and who's going to protect him.
Well, there's one name you mentioned there that if we're going to tease this out further, that I think there might be some ripple effect on, and that is L. Bell. If your franchise quarterback is saying, I want to play past, when he says 3 to 5 years, that's past the contract he's under. We already know AB's under a long-term contract that pays him at the top of the market. If and when Ben gets a new contract, we know how these quarterback contracts work. If you're a franchise quarterback, you all of a sudden become the highest paid or certainly top 2 in the league. And so then you're like, okay, can we have the highest paid wide receiver, one of the highest paid quarterbacks, and the highest paid running back? Like, that does, right? That it does have an impact on. It's one thing if you're like, well, one more year, then Ben's done. Then we've got a rookie quarterback making no money. Then we can't afford to have L. Bell. Like, that is the, if we're teasing this forward.
That's a real thing. You know, because Ben, all he's got to do is go back in there and tell the Steelers, I want more money. That was one of the signs that I saw from in talking to you. Man, what do you think is going to happen with this? When he says that in the organization, that's going to affect L. Bell and their ability to be able to give him long-term money.
But when you're sitting back there as either the head coach or GM, and now you hear these comments, you're wondering, well, which Ben is it? Is it the guy that said he was going to retire a few years ago? Is it the guy that says he wants to play 3 or 5 more years? We're going to have to go down a little bit of this road and see who shows up at training camp.
During the season said, maybe I'm washed up. Maybe I'm done. Like after the Jags game, like he has been, he has been hot and cold on this, right?
And this puts pressure on him initially, but when they get to camp and he takes a look at how big a threat Mason Rudolph truly is, if he doesn't feel it's that significant, then it's going to go back to where it was in terms of his level.
All right, Coach, we're going to see you a little bit later on in the show. Coming up, back to basketball. The Warriors going to run away with their 3rd title in 4 years. That's next on First Things First.
What do you call that lineup, CC?